right, another day, another trade breakdown. A lot of people were asking questions about this trade. I think it was pretty simple. I think what was impressive to some was the entry. And I must admit the entry is a little bit more advanced, but we'll get to it, okay? I just want to talk a little bit more about our journey so far together. There's a lot of people that are doing very good. Some are a little bit confused. Some struggle, but some also are about to do a breakthrough or just struggling a little bit. And it's completely normal. We all have a different journey. It doesn't matter if you're learning less quick than someone else or learning slower, or faster. It doesn't matter. It's your own journey. You should focus on yourself. And at the end of the day, you're doing this for you, right? So it's very important. With everything we've seen so far, there's a lot of confusion, and we're going to be talking about it this week on the call. I think there's kind of a little bit misunderstanding on when it comes down to the strategy. I've developed multiple tips, tricks, stuff over the years, right? There's multiple mentors that showed me stuff. I developed some strategies also, some techniques. And to be honest, the more experience I had, the better I was developing techniques, right? Because of course, if you do multiple mistakes, eventually you end up figuring out a procedure, a technique to skip this mistake. And I know some of you guys know that I love everything about surgery, medicine, doctors, all that crap. I wasn't good at school, so I couldn't become a doctor, but that was one of my dreams, okay? When I was younger, I was literally watching, a couple of years ago, I was literally watching surgeries online on YouTube, right? Because I was so impressed. It's just to understand that these people do surgeries on human bodies. Do you understand how many different pieces and puzzles a human body has? It's so impressive that we can have people actually doing surgery on us. Anyways, let's just give a little analogy about medicine, surgery, and all that crap. You know for a fact that when a surgeon is operating, let's say, a heart, he does our radio scans, MRI, all that crap, right? To have an idea of the condition, have an idea of the organs, how they look like, and all that crap, right? But he doesn't really know how it's effectively going to work until he opens the body, right? The patient. And depending on the condition, the heart, the fat around the heart, everything, he's going to use different tools, right? Just like the strategy I'm showing you guys, I show you all the techniques, but it doesn't mean that they apply to every single trade. The same way with a surgeon operating a heart, he's not going to use a hip replacement drill, right? He's going to use tools that are made for heart surgery. And I think this is where people get confused. I'm sorry for an analogy. I just felt about saying that. And this is where I think some people are confused is they think, let's say the trade away, the false reaction, the SNT, F bosses, everything needs to be perfectly checked to take a trade. You don't bring, have you already heard that quote? You don't bring a hammer to a gunfight, right? So it's very important to understand that in some cases, you will not have false reaction to take a trade. In some cases, you will not have F bosses. And this is why it's so important to build this experience, because this experience will make you see all of the scenarios granularly, fractally, and put it all together so you are prepared for battle. Does that mean that, let's say, a trade like this doesn't happen often? I think maybe 3 to 4 a month, maybe less, exactly like this. But it doesn't mean that I don't master this technique. If there's one thing I can say is everything I taught you guys, I have a lot of experience because I've seen it live. I've confirmed with my daily markups. I've done multiple research to confirm, even though I don't like the term backtest. But when I do my daily markups, basically it's like if I'm backtesting, right? And this is very important that you guys understand. And also with everything I show you, you cannot just ignore facts that are on the charts. And this is what I want to talk about today on the breakdown. This is GU. Originally, this was a 1 to 17 and it became a 1 to 25, okay? But it was more, the complete profit was about a 1 to 20 because I took some partials, okay? I think I did like 1.9% on the trade. I was risking 0.10. It's very important to understand that everything is always the same. Rinse and repeat. We are liquidity traders, so our goal is to identify liquidity, right? So when we wake up in the day, we look at structural intentions, structural expectations. We zoom out, we look, okay. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Price here was making lows, right? Very clearly. Here we have speed and momentum pushing lower, taking liquidity, right? Has it went lower here? No, taking liquidity over here. So we took liquidity. And we can even see perfectly how price touches this line, creates a false reaction, even though nobody's entering, but it's just the same kind of evidence. Price dumps, and now we're starting making new structural highs, right? This is an internal high. So as of now, on this day, I have a clear first evidence that price is maybe motivated to go higher. We have 2 days that it's higher, right? And what's very nice with this is we have this internal decisional inducement. There's liquidity here for sure because they push it lower. But what's nice is that it's not a relevant structural point. And as you can see, price induces, end of day, doesn't provide a significant reaction. And this is very important. When you have an inducement, you need to identify the reaction. If you want to take the trade out of the inducement, you can, but you cannot predict the reaction. I've seen the reaction. I wake up in the morning around this time. Let's say this time, right? Here. I see that this hasn't made a significant low. So the liquidity here is shit. Price pushed it with speed and momentum, came back. We haven't induced this point. And then we're targeting this point as part of the new structural inducement. There's new structural expectations. And this is where things get easy. You wake up in the morning, this is the PA you see. You have this speed and momentum taking this liquidity. No reaction, most likely irrelevant liquidity. Still liquidity, but irrelevant to provide a pullback. Now price pushes, we mitigate the zone, right? Most likely, if this is a mitigation zone at the daily high, maybe it's an SMT, right? This has significant liquidity because we have made all this new low. Plus, additionally, we have this potential trade away that looks very good because of the new high that it has made. So this could be potentially the new relevant trade away. Now we have a significant reaction to this SMT. This is an SMT because it's at a daily high, it made a new low, there's relevant liquidity here. Price pushes here. No breakout entering here. For me, no clear breakout. Maybe you can account breakouts, but nothing really relevant. Price pushes with speed and momentum. You see it, speed and momentum. There's no doubt about it. Now we have this inducement. This has relevant liquidity. Why? Because it's the push that led to this high. And people will say, yeah, but Joe, you said that after 10 p.m. Blah, blah, blah. Look at the push. Look. Right? This has a reaction. Reverse trading technique. Here. Right? So the fact is that price, when price is here, you don't know if there's a relevant liquidity. When speed and momentum comes here, makes a new high, right? Clearly, we know that now it's a new trade away. See, we don't predict that there's an inducement and there's a relevant liquidity. Only when there's a new high here. This is where I have the evidence, the second evidence that we're playing in the same league with the trade away. So when I woke up, I saw that, right? I knew for a fact. I saw price a little bit later. Here I was like still in bed. And there's I'm not going to say his name, but you know who you are. Mr. There's a Mr. in the Discord that took a trade that actually made me run to the computer to take a trade because I was really, really good in my bed with my cats. And just by seeing this on my cell phone, reaction to this daily high, inducement of this structural point, creating the higher time frame, the really clear FBOSS, for me, I knew that we were looking for buys just based on intraday PA. It's very, very, very predictable at this point. Okay. Again, we have liquidity here. Maybe. I don't mind saying that there's liquidity here, but the reaction to it is not significant, right? And this is where it's very important. You always want to see the reaction to identify it as relevant liquidity. And again, there's ways to know if there's relevant liquidity. Has it made a new low? Has it created speed and momentum? Is it a relevant structural point? Is it at a key point like daily high, daily low, Asia high, Asia low, key spots, key zones, right? You can have clear evidence to be able to have a clear idea if there's a relevant liquidity, but it doesn't mean that you will be right. And this is why I react to price. I don't predict. I like giving a little idea of, okay, is this relevant liquidity, XYZ? Fine, let's wait for the reaction. If I'm up for the day and I want to take a trade, I'll take a trade. If I take a stop loss, I take a stop loss. Not the end of the world, right? But always do your due diligence first. Okay, this is a reverse technique. Where would be your TP? Here, why? Because there's a relevant liquidity. Perfect, boom, 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 boom. Good boy, let's go. Here, maybe we can say liquidity here. I'm just going to remove it because for me, it's complete shit. Okay. Price trades away. Price fails to make a significant high and start trading on the opposite direction, right? This is something very annoying because we always want price to go in one direction. So let's check if there's any trend line that we can fit, right? Perfect trend line. This is exactly what we want. There's a first push here. Is this a first push coming out of Asia? I think that there's not really liquidity here. That would be really the first push for this switch here. So we're trading away. So that would be maybe the first break. Okay, we have the second touch. Look how perfectly this is done. We have like even revisiting the zone, like maybe kind of some equal lows, right? Very, very easy. Price pushing, no doubts. Speed and momentum, no doubts. Everybody's joining the party. Let's go, guys, right? Pushing, reacting to shit. So this is most likely a pullback, because if this push would have been inducing this, it would be another story. But look, this, for me, it's not mitigation, nothing relevant here. It's completely irrelevant. It's not taking any liquidity, so this is where you guys will become more advanced in the future. This is like chess, right? When there's a chessboard, let me go again with my fucking drawing. When there's a chessboard, right, you have the pieces, and your challenger, or whatever, the other guy on the other board, he moves a piece, and you have to be able to predict all the possibilities that he will be doing X, Y, Z. It's the same thing here. Trading needs to become like chess. When I trade, it's literally like chess. I know what they're doing, not entirely sure, but I have a good idea. I have this push here. I don't have any liquidity induced. This comes back with speed and momentum. Most likely they're working on an FBOSS. They're working on taking a liquidity or mitigating the inducement POI here. They're working on something, but price needs to go higher based on what we discussed. And especially since I showed a bad mentor of saying that, but I showed you the FBOSS. If there's an FBOSS here, this here becomes a trap, right? This is a trap. So let's move this like this. So you can see this is a trap, and there's relevant liquidity here. Why? Because it's the relevant FBOSS from the on the opposite direction of the structural expectation. Okay, perfect. So this is a pullback. This here has your little pullback short, right? And you target the most relevant liquidity here, speed and momentum. Look at this. Look, right? Pretty straightforward. Now, price is at a zone. What is this zone? Most likely the last relevant structure that made this first high. So this would be called a decisional POI. This is the extreme, right? So you can mark both. You see the reaction. Let's go in one. See, let's go. Oh, oop, oop, oop. What happened there? What happened there, baby? All right. Target volume 2, right? Here we go. Here, decisional, no liquidity, reaction, right? Look at this. Easy, easy stuff. Okay. Let's continue. Now we create an intention FBOSS. IFBOSS because it hasn't made a significant high. So let's call it IFBOSS here. If you guys don't mind, IFBOSS. What happens when there's an IFBOSS? We remove this here. There's a trap here. And it's unfortunate because I missed this trade because I was a lazy, god damn it, lazy bastard on in bed, but it's okay. This is the power of trading. You don't have to trade every single day. Like I go to the office so late and I still manage to get all my things done because I work at night also. So I could literally sleep for until 9:30 if I want. I just wake up to trade. If it wasn't for trading, I would just sleep. Like back in the day when I wasn't trading and I only had my IT business, since I really like working late, I was waking up at like 9, 9:30, 10, and I would go to the office at like 11, 11:30, and I would leave like at 7 p.m. Sometimes 8, go to the gym, come back, eat, and continue to work until 1 a.m. That was my life. Sometimes I would even go to bed to 2, 3 a.m. It's the same schedule than today, but it was just starting later. Okay. So let's continue. Very straightforward. At this point, there's no doubts. This would be a clear liquidity point, right? We go here. Look how we visit an M5 zone. I go in M1 after. And this is something I started seeing people do. They tend to stay on the M1. If you don't have the maturity or the skill to do multi-time frame analysis on the M5 and M1, stick to the M5. Mark up your zones, then go in M1. Don't get stuck on the M1, right? I don't know if that's helpful, but it's very important, okay? So here it would be a lovely trade. I missed it, but I mean, it is what it is. Let me just check the RR that this could have been. 130, not that bad. That could have been nice. So we already know that this would be the next target. You missed this trade. Reverse trade. R trade. RTP, right? Very straightforward. RTP1, RTP2. Let's go, right? It's like same thing. So for now, I identify the RTP, RTP2. See, we have the reverse technique that some people don't use and don't talk about, but I've used it today. I knew for a fact that I missed the most confirmed trade, the inducement directly into the decisional, taking the liquidity with speed and momentum, right? I missed this opportunity here. So my goal is to take a continuation. So when I saw someone trying to short from here, he didn't do his due diligence based on here because it was counter trading from the analysis. Okay, so now my goal is just to take a buy. Will it be from a decisional point, from a false reaction, from the SMT reaction? We don't know. Okay, we move up. Price starting doing something now in the M5. So now we trade away from this. Our RTP is here. we have an aggressive reaction during 15 minutes. We filled the imbalance, right? There's another imbalance here to fill. So our goal is to see if there's an entry opportunity here. Yes, we take it. If no, we wait for the other one. If it doesn't hit, we wait until it comes back here because there's no liquidity taken. So why would price go lower? Okay, very important. Now, I identified this as a decisional SMT, right? It's okay, but I'm not going to put it for the sake of the example because I don't want my chart to be nasty. And again, M5 makes sense. Now we go in M1, not the opposite. And I just did this, right? I just waited until there's a trade opportunity. Like it looks very complex, but it's not, right? You have your first break here, right? There we go. You have your imbalance fill, right? Very straightforward. And we take the entry. We cover the whole thing like this. And we leave, right? Boom, 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 reacting to all this crap, creating. And this is where we would call this. And again, I removed my SMT, but this is a false reaction. It looks very, sorceress or voodoo, call it whatever. But there's nothing other than this. Look how in M5 it makes sense. We go in M1. Look, there's no clear PY, but look how long price is here, right? 15 minutes. It took. I just ran to the computer. I saw this break. I was like, it's even nicer. But I could have just taken it from here also, even without the internal boss here. I could have taken from here. Okay, I don't mind. And remember, you always want to look to the left. Do we have relevant liquidity? Do we have relevant POI and inducement POI? Whatever. Where is the trade away? Same again. I forgot to put this, but we're in the same scenario, same story being told on and on. Look here also. Come on and on. Same goddamn story. Same story. We're just trading in line and away from clear liquidity. Now price will push, 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 push. Inducement of that SMT. What's your goal? You take profit. It's your RTP. You take profit. You have an inducement, speed and momentum. What do you do? What do you do? Yeah, we go in M1, right? We wait. Oh, price makes a reaction. Internal break, taking relevant liquidity. Yes, so we need to be diligent here and be careful. Oh, but we also react to this. See how you need to have your eyes everywhere. This here, this here, this here, this here, here. Oh, reacting. What is the reaction? Taking the liquidity, but what also? SMT reaction. Oh, so now if price comes back here, I'm not taking profit with the target volume 2. No. This is lovely. This is called a internal FBOS. Everybody knows that. Everybody are professional now. Everybody knows it. And I'm going to be 100% honest. I wanted to take this trade. I didn't because I knew that news was about around the corner. So I didn't want it to be slipped. Ever since I got slipped last time, I feel a little bit uncomfortable trading close to the news. And see, even with my experience, I get scared. I just didn't want to risk a beautiful Monday. And it was my first trade of the day. It was Tuesday. Are we Tuesday today? Yeah, I didn't trade yesterday. So I decided, since it was my first trade of the week, to really be conservative. But look how it's always the same damn thing, like always. Look at this. I have boss. I have this. Oops, FF boss. What the fuck? Sorry. Let's put it smaller here. I have boss. We go in the M1. We look. Oh, come on. Like, come on. Like, look at this. Right? We don't care if it goes lower here. It's even nicer. Right? It's just so nice. It's unbelievable how nice it is. And do we come back? Yeah, I think it doesn't come back. That's what's unfortunate here. Yeah, that's what's unfortunate. If it would have mitigated this one, that would have been clean. To be honest, like this, I would have taken this anytime. Like, I don't care. I would have just entered like this when it was doing it was just the speed and the momentum of this I have boss. The intentions was just so easy. And then price, boom, 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 boom. Here we go, left. And I decided to move, because if I zoom out, I decided to move my TP to a higher zone because of, oh, where's the, it seems like the news isn't showing anymore. Wait, 2 seconds, sorry. There's a glitch. Okay, doesn't matter. News was about here. I saw the reaction to this SMT. I saw the news coming out and price starting pushing. Like it did this. I was like, yeah, while price was pushing, because that was my TP. It was that daily high here. Yeah. I saw price pushing and I moved to the next relevant liquidity point, and it was this one. look how all this, like you can go in H1 and look how it's a straight bar. And look how it also makes sense on the H1. Like, look, it's always the same thing. I don't trade a higher time frame, but you could like, look, here, here, relevant break of structure, mitigation here, pushing. Like, it's always the same thing. It doesn't matter the time frame. It's just higher time frame. Like, it's so boring. It's for old people. I'm not old. So I don't know if this call helps. I don't know if this trade makes sense. I hope it does. And it's just to make you realize that let's list together, first of all, the confluences and also the tools we used. Okay. First of all, there's always structural intention, right? Structural intention, we're very clear here. Structural intentions. We saw it when they did this first break here, not reacting from it. So most likely we expect, the expectation is a little bit into the prediction, but it's not realistically because it's you base your edge out of experience, not prediction, okay? Tradeaways are super clear, right? FBOSses, very clear. Clear liquidity, clear intentions. False reaction with confirmed entry. Oh, sorry. We use it, the trend line also. Clear inducement of the trend line. So see how I could continue on and on and on. It's just so simple if you put it on paper. And look, in this case, we use it the RTP, the reverse trading technique, the false reaction, the IBOS, the imbalance. I forgot to put the imbalance fill. The intentions were clear. See, in this case, we didn't have any clear equal lows. We had this or equal lows or equal highs. No, we didn't. We used FBOS and SMT. But you can see that in here, we didn't use some stuff that we learned. There's no extreme POI that has been touched. We unfortunately haven't had an extreme POI mitigated to then trade into decisional. See how I used the tool needed to engineer this position, and that's it. It seems very, very sorcerous or whatever you call it. I think the only thing some of you guys are impressed is this entry. But if you would just like, let's say, enter from here, this trade makes sense. You cannot argue that this trade doesn't make sense. Look, this is a 6 pip stop loss and you're still doing a 1 to 8, right? Try to forget and not too much tunnel vision the stop loss size that I'm able to achieve. This comes with experience and multiple stop losses. And today I was talking to another member and I was telling him that, remember when I told you guys you need to trade with emotion? I think that based on my English being bad, I said emotions, but I think I had the wrong term. You need to trade with your instinct. This entry, I think I've taken like 200 trades exactly the same way. You could go back in the master's technical. I'm sure there's at least 2 to 3 trades exactly like this. When I constantly see the same trades, of course it looks impressive, but the only difference is my experience and I feel confident. And look, when I took this trade, I took it on the M1. Let's go into the 30 seconds so you can see. Price came back. I took the buy from the way up, right? Didn't take it from here. When it came here, I would have stayed in like 7 minutes in drawdown. And like I said, I could have entered here. But if you see it, oops. Sorry. If you see it, there's no drawdown. Like I bought and price went directly into profit, right? And I think that this, look, this is the entry. Oops, I couldn't paste. It says I cannot paste. Oops, okay. It seems like I can't paste. Sorry, it's too large, okay. It's too large. Let me just check here if I can do this here. Like, look, I took it like this from the way up, the candle forming, easy. Okay, so try to not get too impressed about this. We had the false reaction of this SMT, no clear liquidity taken, trading away from this FBOS, trading away with this mitigation here. Imbalance fill on the M5 makes total sense. Speed and momentum on the opposite direction, inducing the new structure. Look at the speed. Look at this. Like, look at this. Like, this FBOS is perfect. I need to keep it, right? I need to keep this FBOS. And look at this one. God damn it. Like, come on. It's like impossible for us to not, like, it's just too clear. I'm going to be honest. It's like so clear that I hope that you can record this trade and remember it. So eventually you're able to take the same trades like this. Okay. And if, example, I would have entered without that IBOS here, maybe I would have hit a stop loss. Then my next zone would have been here, right? I would have waited until price comes here. If this would have been a stop loss because it happens to me often, right? Imagine this would have been a stop loss and I would have waited a little bit more here until price does this. And then I would slam this bad boy here. The idea is the same. The entry is just different. And we're talking about a couple of pips. Like if I really wanted to stay in that trade, I could have just do this, but it's not me. You know me. Okay, so a little bit longer video. I hope that this helps. Remember, use the tools that are needed for your surgery. If you're installing shelves on your wall, you're basically not going to use, let's say, like a metal saw or a chainsaw, let's say, right? You're going to use a drill, a level, a stud finder, right? And you're going to install your shelves. You use the tools that are necessary for this trade. Stop thinking that when are we going to launch the checklist video, that everything needs to be checked to be able to enter a trade. The checklist video that I'm going to do is only listing the confluences in priority order, not for you to, okay, if there's no trade away here, I cannot take a trade. Never said that, okay? So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything, you'll let me know, and catch you all in Discord. Peace.